Welcome to I'm Not a Porn Star. I'm your host, The Plumber, and tonight's guest has built an entire career in a male-dominated industry. She's a successful engineer, and for some reason or another, she's decided to make an OnlyFans. Let's find out. Welcome, Aerona.
Hi.
How are you going?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, that's great. Thank you for coming on to the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, guess you said it already, but yeah, I'm an engineer in my mid-30s from the UK, and my OnlyFans is kind of my secret side hobby. Most people in my life, including my work and my family, don't know that I do this.
Okay, so a lovely little secret there for you.
Mm.
What inspired you to start an OnlyFans? You know, what made you go, oh, I'm going to be an OnlyFans star?
I think there's a few different reasons. I mean, one was that the interest rates started going up, and I wanted to renovate my flat. And being an engineer is not actually as lucrative as it might sound. So I was like, oh, how can I get some extra cash? And then I think OnlyFans was kind of in the media like a little bit at that time. And part of me, I think I've always been a person that sort of was quite well behaved. You know, I've always kind of done what I'm supposed to do. And it was a bit of a kind of like sort of bit of a fuck you to everybody. Like, I'm just going to do something a bit outrageous and I'm going to do it for me. And I don't really care what everybody thinks, even though I guess it's a secret so they don't know. But there was a bit of an element of fuck it to it, I think.
Yeah, I totally get it. It's like I'm rebelling. Fuck you.
Yeah,
I'm going to do whatever I want to do.
yeah, like a kind of maybe early midlife crisis rebellion.
Quarter life crisis, we'll call it. How long have you been doing it for?
Pretty much 2 years, I think now.
2 years. Yeah, you're almost a veteran now, I think they'd say. I think most people seem to drop out after about 3 to 6 months. So you're doing pretty well there.
Thank you.
So obviously you're doing it as a bit of a rebellious streak in a way. Do you think you remain yourself on your OnlyFans platform, or do you also use it to change how you are, your personality type? What do we get? What do we get? Do we get the real you, or are we getting a slightly different version of you?
Do you know what, that's a really good question. That's something I've been thinking about quite a lot recently. And I think it's hard to answer, but I think I started off as this is a persona that gets to kind of explore her sexuality, and it was kind of separate from me. But I think the longer I do it, the more the two sort of merge into one, and it's sometimes quite hard to say where one ends and the other one starts. But yeah, it's something I think about quite a lot, and it's hard to answer, I think. Maybe some people have like really distinct personalities, but I think mine is a bit more blended because some of my kind of real life hobbies and obviously my work kind of slightly blur into what I do in OnlyFans. So
Yeah, you're blurring the lines between that pleasure side of life and that professional side, and they just start to blur in the middle there, and that's what we get, that's awesome. When you first started, did you have any fears or hesitations, or did you not think about it? You just being a rebel?
I think I went into it probably a bit naively, not really knowing quite how negatively I think maybe other people, society as a whole, feel about OnlyFans, because I thought, it doesn't seem bad to me. It doesn't seem like such a huge deal to me, but I think a lot of people still have lots of negative preconceptions about people doing porn, and I think I definitely just went into it slightly naively, just like, well, I'm just gonna have a go at this.
Yeah, I totally get that. Have you come across much of that personally, or like on a more personal level, that negativity against OnlyFans? I know that you remain anonymous, so you're not going to see it firsthand directed at you. Do you yourself see that, that stigma around it, or has it been, just more what you hear online and see, in the news and stuff?
It's more the news, probably. I mean, there was basically some statistics that came out last year in the UK, the Office of National Statistics did a big survey questioning the general public's view on sex work, including online sex work, and specifically questions about OnlyFans. And I was really shocked at how negative people perceive it. I think there was a statistic that sticks in my mind where it was like only 17% of people will be willing to be even friends with someone who does porn.
That's really interesting. I didn't even know that there was a study sponsored by a state
Yeah,
at all.
and people were seeing OnlyFans like on exactly the same level as kind of full service sex work. Like in their mind, it's as bad. Yeah, so there's like a huge load of judgment, I guess, in the sort of from the general public, which I wasn't aware of. And also, there was one incident where I told one of my best friends about that I was doing OnlyFans, and he had sort of joked about it previously. It was like, oh, I watched a documentary, maybe you should start an OnlyFans. And at that time, I already had one, and I hadn't told him. And I told him a few months later, and actually reacted really badly. He was like, oh God, is this like morally right? Are you ruining people's marriages? And all of that stuff. And I was really shocked because I guess you don't expect that from someone close to you who, I don't know, I guess has joked about it with you. So you think they're kind of fine. But yeah, I guess I've not had it loads, but that was one time where I've sort of had it personally. It didn't feel great.
Okay, yeah. So you have seen that firsthand, especially with your friend there. That's a bizarre one because you'd expect a friend or someone like that to be a bit supportive, even if they don't necessarily agree, but not to react too badly. You mentioned something there, and I wanted to go into that a bit more. What was it? Oh, I've forgotten. It doesn't matter. We'll move on from that. How do you
It might
keep?
come back to.
It will, because it was a question that's further on down the list, but we were talking about it, so I was like, I'm going to ask it now, but we'll get to it. How do you maintain, remaining anonymous? How do you find it really, really difficult, or is it just it's easy for you now, it's second nature, you don't stress about it?
Well, I guess one aspect of that is I don't know how anonymous I am really. I think obviously I don't show my full face, but I have, certain distinguishing features. And I think the reality is if certain people that are close to me found my content, they probably know it's me. But I think for me, there's like a plausible deniability. They can't prove it's me. So I think that's how I frame it in my head. But I suppose on a practical level, I don't really have many. I've maybe got like one personal Instagram, but I've got rid of all my social media really, and it's private, and my face isn't on there, and I'm kind of vague about my actual work and my location. In all my content, I make sure not to shoot outside in like any recognizable place and stuff. So I suppose it's that kind of thing, really. But I think anyone going into this, even if they're trying to be anonymous, unless you're really careful with like, wigs and whatever other stuff and face masks, which I don't do, you maybe just have to accept on some level that someone might recognize you at some point.
Yeah, you are obviously putting in quite a lot of effort into, making sure you're shielded from someone being able to go, hey, I know that street in the background. Whereas some people don't bother at all. But you're right, someone might see it one day and they're going to know who it is, but at the same time, if you're not showing your face, you do have that plausible deniability. Have you ever had someone come close to just, finding this secret little life of yours, or?
I mean, not that I know of, but I did almost stupidly, well, it was such a stupid incident, almost out myself to my parents who don't know. And it was just a complete accident. I sent an attachment on an email that I thought was a photo of a book, but actually it was, when your iPhone sometimes it sort of takes a screenshot and you don't realize it's a screenshot. And turns out what I thought was just like a photo of the book was actually a screenshot of the book within an OnlyFans chat with like my username watermarked and everything. And I just sent that to my dad saying, have you read this book?
So what happened? Did you quickly delete it, or did he just not even think about it?
It was on Gmail, and it took me about a minute to realise what I'd done, and I couldn't unsend it, and I absolutely freaked out. But luckily, my dad's kind of so like computer literate. I don't think
Yeah.
twig
So,
anything.
this is a funny photo. Anyway, no, I haven't read that book
moving
yet.
on. He just replied saying, "Yeah, I've read that book." I was like, "Oh,
There you go." Okay, so let's just say that he looked at it and questioned it a little bit more. What would happen? What would you do if you were discovered by someone? Have you thought about that? Have you got a plan in place, or are you just going to wing it and see what would happen?
No, I mean, I didn't have a plan in place really until that moment happened with my own father. And I thought, what the hell would I say if that came out? And I don't know, I'm sort of always torn between just being honest and saying, this is it. Just if you sort of love me as a parent, then you're going to have to support me in this. Or just lying and saying, oh, yeah, it's just foot pics.
Foot pics. Everyone reverts back to foot pics.
Exactly.
It's like a safe thing.
Yeah.
Well, Okay, given that you are hiding your face, and I see it all the time that people will say, "Oh, you can't do an OnlyFans if you're not showing your face." People want to see the face, but they don't. How how do you keep your fans engaged without showing your face? And what sort of content do you have to make, knowing that you can't have your face and everything? Because there's certain scenes, certain positions, whatever, and if your face isn't in it, then it's a worthless shot. So do you put a lot of effort and energy into those sorts of things, or are you finding that it's easy for you now?
I mean, I guess it's easy in the sense that I've got enough practice, 2 years
Hmm.
practice, but I do try and, I mean, I think there's several things I do to, I guess, connect with fans without showing my face. I mean, I do always try and show my mouth and my smile because you can show quite a lot of emotion just
Hmm.
with that of your face. So I guess I've got practice at angles that show that without showing the rest of my face. So that's kind of the social media strategy, I'd say. I'm always trying to show my mouth and things. On the actual OnlyFans, there's quite a lot of content where I talk a lot.
Hmm.
I try and show personality, like hobbies, tell people about my week, tell people about my life. So I suppose it's maybe putting more effort into the personality side of things and getting people to connect with you emotionally rather than just by whatever your face looks like. And then I think I pretty much shoot almost everything kind of nose down, but there are certain things where I'll either blur my whole face or wear like a mask for kind of like a sort of lace mask for the upper half of my face because there are certain things you can't shoot without really having a full head in them.
Yeah. So when do you have a whole lot of planning that goes into what you're going to shoot, whether it's on Instagram or on OnlyFans? Do you have a day where you sit down and you sort of scribble all this down, or are you just winging it and you're on the fly?
I'm on the fly because basically you'd think I'd be organized because my day job is like very organized, but because of said day job, I never have enough time. I've got like these ongoing sort of OnlyFans social media to-do lists, and I'm just basically firefighting every day, trying to do whatever I've got time for. And no, it's chaos. There are no plans.
That being very reactionary-ish in a way. I mean, I completely understand that. In my day job, that's basically what I do. It's my job to just put out spot fires and deal with stuff as it comes up. I wish I could plan, but I just can't manage to do it. What's something about this business, like so more to the commercial side of the OnlyFans, that you wish some people would understand? To give you a bit of an idea, I've had to deal with this firsthand myself, actually. Someone questioning your pricing, as an example. You know, if you're selling something for $10, for example, you're only really making $5 out of it, because by the time
Not
you pay tax and by the time OnlyFans gets its
oh,
cut,
UK tax, even worse. Yeah.
would you agree in saying that that's probably one of the biggest misunderstandings coming from your fans, is like, oh, you should be happy I'm giving you £2.
Yeah. Yeah, I think normally actually when they question the price of something, I will say to them, look, you might think it's expensive, but actually I lose 70% once you take off the OnlyFans cut and the tax. So it's hardly anything. Yeah, I think the fans don't understand that side of it, but I think on the whole, people probably don't understand that it is a business and the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes, especially the social media aspect of it and how relentless that is. Yeah, it's definitely the misconception that it's easy money and all I've got to do is take my clothes off. But that's the easy. I mean, that's the easy part of it, really, taking the clothes
Yeah.
off. Is
You've taken
everything?
you've taken words out of my mouth there, because that's something that I will say to this point is like, you can't just take a photo of your tits and make $100. There's hours of effort behind taking that photo, and then hours of promoting yourself, promoting your pages, just for one guy to come in here and be like, I'll give you $4 for that.
Yeah.
It's so I think you've said it, and everyone else has said the exact same thing. They just wish that the fans would understand that this is it's actual work. It's hard work. Um, would you agree in this statement that the market's saturated in your personal experience? And what I mean by that is, I mean, look, there's 3 billion men on the planet and there's 3 billion women on the planet, and maybe, I don't know the actual number off the top of my head, but it's something like 40 million, I think, women are OnlyFans creators, whether they actually do it actively or not. Do you feel that you're in a saturated market, or does it not affect you?
I mean, it's a good question. I don't think I've thought about it specifically like that, but I've thought about it in the sense that the social media side of things has gotten much harder. And I'm sure other people have told you that in the last, 6 months to a year. At least it's got much harder than it was when I first started. So I don't, maybe part of that saturation, part of that's probably agencies and their endless AI models and thousands of accounts. And then the other part of that is the algorithms getting more complicated and more difficult. So I don't know. I mean, maybe market saturation is probably part of that because OnlyFans is maybe a bit more acceptable now. People are like, oh, I can make loads of money really easily. So more people are trying. But for me personally, I feel like the bigger problem is probably social media and the amount of time and effort that is taking. I guess I don't really think about how many other kind of OnlyFans creators there are, and if I'm really competing against them, I feel like I'm really competing against the algorithm and just getting eyes on the content.
Yeah, well, and that comes back around to taking time, a lot of time to actually get it all right. It's not, once again, it's not as easy. You can't just take a photo in lingerie for Instagram anymore. You need to have the exact, the perfect caption. You need to know exactly what time of the day to post it as well. Like there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's not that as simple. But
No, and it's constantly changing. That's the other thing. Something will work for like a few weeks on one account, and then suddenly it doesn't work anymore. And you're like, well, what now? And you're constantly re-evaluating and then trying things. And a lot of time you're trying something, and then you've got to try it for weeks and weeks and weeks until you see a result as well. So I think it's not instant kind of gratification either. I think people probably don't realize how kind of resilient and persistent you have to be to kind of keep this going.
no, definitely. On that, what do you think would be one of the most intriguing requests? Some fans have been asking for, whether on Instagram or OnlyFans. Apart from obviously trying to get a photo of your face, which I'm sure you get all the time.
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't get that many, I guess, intriguing or unusual requests. It's always very, I want you, I don't know, I want to see you squirt and say like that kind of.
Oh, that's pretty standard stuff these days.
It's pretty standard. Yeah, I think because I've showed quite a lot of personality, there's a bit more of a girlfriend vibe. There's less of the kind of kinky side of the spectrum, maybe because I present myself as fairly vanilla as well. I don't really get any, I don't think I've ever had like a really good, interesting request, actually, sadly. I know some people get really good ones, but I haven't had one.
You sound sad about
I'm a
that.
little bit sad about that.
Oh, you watch it. After this, someone's going to see it and go, "Oh, yes, I can ask her this really, really weird thing now."
I might regret that.
Yeah, possibly. Have you ever blocked a fan? Not just a really, really annoying one. Has someone done something that's just pissed you off the wrong way, and you're like, you know what, you're done.
I try and not block people too much, unless it's like, someone's just subscribed straight away and it's instantly rude, which some people do because I think they just get off on the rudeness. Those I obviously block, but like someone who've had an ongoing thing with, I try not to. I don't think I actually really have. I think maybe one time I did. One time somebody kept trying to ask for a custom and they kept changing his mind after I'd already made the arrangements. So then I restricted him for 6 months, but then I unrestricted him. So
Oh, how did he get his custom in the end? Or
I'm not going to discuss that with him ever again, I don't think.
yeah,
But no, yeah, no, nothing's ever gone. I mean, touch wood, nothing's ever gone so sour that with someone that I've known properly that I've had to block them.
okay, that's pretty good to know. Some of the other women who I've interviewed here have 100%. They've had some real creeps, best way to put it. So they've had to block them. After 6 months or a year. How do you deal with burnout and losing motivation? Is that something that happens to you? Do you find yourself some days going, "Oh, I'm over it"?
Just most days. Yeah, no, burnout is a problem. It's a problem because, especially I think when I've got a day job, and I think yeah, and you want that OnlyFans, you can't, and especially the social media side, you can't really switch off from that. You can't really just take a week off and say I'm going on holiday now and I'm not going to bother posting for a week. And yeah, I think I'm probably perpetually slightly burnt out of sort of varying levels of burnout. And no, I don't really have a decent coping strategy. I look at it first thing in the morning when I wake up at like whatever time, and last thing before I go to bed. Now, I've got loads of unhealthy habits. I I do try and have a bath every day. That's probably like relaxing. My relaxation is like a hot bath every day. Try and switch off during that. But yes, it's a problem, and I don't have a good coping mechanism.
I think it's one of those things where you have to find something that works for you. I mean, heaps of people can say, "Oh, why don't you just go have a weekend away?" It's like it's not that easy sometimes, and then you've got to explain to people why you're going away for a weekend, and that just raises more questions in itself. So,
And then sometimes, say you are going away for a week, and I'll be like, "Oh, this is a lovely place I'm staying. I better make some content. I better film something for Instagram because look at this hot tub." Like you just
yep,
can never switch it off, really.
yep. And then you get back from that trip and you're feeling exhausted still, and you're like, "Oh God, why I need a holiday." um,
Exactly.
so leading on from that, have you ever thought about quitting it? Have you ever just, had a day where you're like, "It's not worth it anymore. I'm going to quit," or taking an extended break?
Not seriously, because I think I'm like too stubborn to quit and give in. It's almost like I'm like I think it's not in my nature to quit things. So like yeah, it's not crossed my mind really ever. And also obviously it's worth doing. Like otherwise I wouldn't do it. But no, I've not thought that. But then equally, I don't know how long I can do it for. I don't think I can do it forever. That's
Okay,
definitely.
so there's no like grand 5, 10 year plan out there for
No,
you.
it's got an expiry date. It's just I don't know when that expiry date is.
That's fair enough. Um, what's your relationship with your body like now, since compared to when you started this? Some women have just become incredibly empowered with their own body now. Some women it doesn't haven't changed. What's your experience with that?
I feel great about it. I think I'm probably in the empowerment camp. I think there were certain parts of my body that I didn't,
Hmm.
that I felt self-conscious about before, and that maybe didn't fit the sort of standards or whatever. And having thousands of people tell you actually all those parts are bloody great, and I'm going to give you loads of money for them, it's quite hard not to feel great about it. So yeah, I'd say I feel very good about my self-image.
Okay, so it's been a good sort of tool in a way to help build up that body confidence.
Hmm. Definitely. For me, anyway.
So what about the times when it's not all roses and you get some criticism or negativity online? Do you just brush that off, or how does it affect you?
It used to, when I first started, I might as well go into detail, but when I first started, and the thing that made me go viral right at the beginning was there was a sort of, it's come back since, the sort of see-through dress trend on
Hmm.
Instagram. Yeah, that first was like a big thing about 2 years ago. And yeah, if you don't know how the see-through dress trend works, but you see your vagina through the dress somehow.
Hmm.
And yeah, I got a lot of hate about a part of my body that I already felt self-conscious about at that point. I did, yeah, it affected me until I realised that was going viral, and then I was kind of fine with it. And now I just don't read the comments anymore. And I think now I probably just laugh at the comments. But
Yeah,
yeah, at the beginning, you've got to grow a thick skin, basically, I think.
yeah, definitely. You need to, and you also need to understand that the people online who are just saying negative stuff, they've got nothing better to do anyway.
Mm.
And it does. If it wasn't you, they're going to say it to someone else, and you just need to ignore it and move on from it.
It's not, yeah, it's not actually really personal to you. It's just someone being hateful. They just say it to any.
Exactly, exactly. And if it wasn't you who popped up in their feed, it was going to be someone else. So it's never a direct comment towards you.
No.
Where do you get your content ideas from anyway? So obviously, like that see-through dress, that's something that's viral. So you're going to jump on the viral bandwagon. But around, the viral stuff, where do you get your ideas from? Do you go by what people sort of are asking for, or do you get a light bulb moment and you're like, I'm going to do that. I think it's going to be great. What's your...
Well, because my time is limited, it tends to be a. I don't have loads of time about, to come up with ideas or like complicated reels. I try and do stuff that's straightforward and that I know has worked in the past, or that sort of fans have said to me, and I follow you because you do X, Y, Z. Like for a while, I was doing sort of upskirts, slightly teasing, flashing a bit of underwear reels, and a lot of fans said they followed because of that. So then I'd be like, I'll just keep doing that kind of thing. Sometimes it's sort of scrolling just my For You page, And then also, obviously, some of the creator groups I'm on, people share ideas of things that are doing well. So I try and do it time efficiently, basically. Also, the sort of base footage that you can reuse a lot. I just don't have time to film like complicated, I don't know, skits or whatever some other people do. It's got to be
Yeah,
kind of repeatable and quick, basically.
yeah, I do see that. There's sort of two versions to the content. It can be something that, as you said, is like a skit, and these are the people who don't have day jobs and they spend all day working on it, and they'll make a 20, 30, 40 minute video
Yeah.
almost, and then take the bits out from that. And then there's other creators who, like yourself, you don't have the time to do it. You've got to maximize, your time as best as you can. So you'll take a 1 minute video, and from that you'll get 5 seconds of something that you're really happy with. So, but no, it's good. It's good that you're you're taking on the feedback of your followers as well to help drive that. That just adds to the that realness about you, and not being fake, I suppose.
Yeah.
You're actually reacting to what people are asking for, whereas, bigger models and stuff out there that are run by agencies, they don't care.
No.
Their schedule's set 6 months in advance. They're not going to react to what the market wants at the time.
I mean, do you know what you just said actually reminds me about what we were talking about earlier, how you sort of connect with fans maybe when you don't show your full face. And I think a word that comes up a lot is authenticity in relation to what I do, and that my fans really like that aspect. So, and I think you can be authentic and show that without, it's not about your face, it's just about your whole personality and the content and how you create that content. So I think that's a big one.
Yeah, I think there's two ways to run an OnlyFans page, and I mean, I don't have an OnlyFans page, so I'm only speaking from what I sort of get told and what I can hear around. Is you can either be all about the volume, which is clicks, 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 heaps of people coming in. They're not going to buy anything. They're just going to pay whatever your subscription fee is and move on. Or there's like yourself, where you are as authentic as you can be, and people are here to build a relationship more or less with you.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. Some people just love the fact they can message you and you reply back. Some people really love that. So yeah, that sort of all comes into it. Obviously, if your page and your content is driven by the fans, then that's what they want to see. And you're going to get the good ones out of that as well. Just in that, so with your content, do you collaborate with other content creators, whether it's girls, boys, pandas, I don't know, and if so, are they faceless as well, or have they been face out?
Yeah, so I've done collaborations with my friend Alice, who is faceless on social media, but face out on OnlyFans. And we've actually mainly done OnlyFans content together, not that much social media. Yeah, it's kind of fine. I guess I just basically either blur my face or wear a mask, and because her face is out, it doesn't really matter. I think if I was doing a collaboration with somebody who didn't show their face, I suppose we'd both probably just use the same technique, if you see what I mean, either just like shoot nose down or blur or wear a mask. Yeah, I don't think it's a barrier really.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty interesting. I've had someone who same sort of boat. They're not face out, but the person they're collaborating with was a face out creator, and they actually discussed the issues that they faced because of it. There's certain stuff they couldn't film that they really wanted to film that does get you viral, and they can't do it because it doesn't fit with what they're trying to do. But it's good that your sort of experience with it's pretty positive.
I mean, I think maybe because we haven't done social media much really, it was more the OnlyFans content, and
Yeah, of
that's
course.
less of an issue, I think, probably.
Yeah, that might potentially be it. What's a video or a photo set that you yourself are really proud of? You'll look at it in your camera roll every now and then and you go, God, I was good there.
I mean, I think one of the ones, actually, funnily enough, I'm most proud of is the time I shot with my friend Alice, and we both basically genuinely were losing our girl virginities on camera with each other. It's kind of hard to top that. And also, I was really nervous about it, but it turned out really well.
Well, that's great. That's
Very
awesome.
happy about that one. Yeah, it's probably our most popular. It's probably my most popular video.
Right, that's pretty good. Sort of break the topic there and come back to earth a little bit. Do you consider yourself as a sex worker?
Wow. I probably hadn't until that, going back to that really great survey where they were questioning the sort of general public's view on sex work.
Mm.
I mean, everybody else seems to think it's sex work, so I probably should consider myself as a sex worker. I guess I just don't. I don't know. I just maybe I don't like labeling things, but I've just not thought about it that much. Yeah, technically, I guess yes.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. It's very intriguing that you didn't really have much of an opinion on it unless you were asked the question specifically. Because there are some girls out there that, no, I'm not a sex worker. And then there's other women like, yeah, 100%, it's a sex work. That's what it is. So it's pretty cool. You're like right at that mid level there. It's interesting.
But I think it's you could also then ask like I don't I guess I suppose do I consider myself doing porn? I mean, obviously it is that, but then when I think about it, it doesn't always feel like that. I think I don't know if that's slightly related to it, but maybe I'm just on some weird middle ground.
No, well, it definitely might come into it because, you're an authentic creator and what people are seeing is exactly who you are. Whereas when you're a porn star, you're going onto a set that's been prearranged. There's a film crew, there's camera crews, there's all of this. You're essentially you're making a movie, and then that is quite literally, it's work. It's a job.
Yeah.
You're going somewhere to do it like that. Whereas your content, for example, you're feeling great, you're looking great, you're taking some photos, you're having some fun along the way. I think that's where the differences lie between, a sex worker and someone on OnlyFans who's having fun doing this.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that's why it seems, yeah, why the label doesn't fully fit. But then I suppose parts of it is definitely work, so I guess you can't say it's not work because some of it is work. It feels like work. I mean, the social media side definitely feels like work. So yeah,
And that's what makes the conversation interesting because the work part of it is that social media and the promoting yourself, but that's not sex. You're not exactly promoting porn either. You are. That's the whole intention. But it's a bizarre one. It's almost like, oh, I'm a sex worker, but I'm not. But I am, but I'm not. Anyway, we'll move on. Have you discovered anything new about yourself since you started this? I'm not talking about, body confidence. Is there a kink that you've unlocked, so to speak, since you've been doing this? You had no idea you were even interested in.
yeah. So I did have a subscriber right in the beginning who was like really into anal, and I was like, ugh, I'm not into anal at all. Like I've never done anything with the butt. And then he wanted a custom, and I was like, oh, well, I could probably mess around with this. And yeah, kink unlocked. Not that it's a kink, but preference unlocked, I'd say. Probably wouldn't have gone down that route if it wasn't for him asking for that stuff. So yeah, it's not very exciting, but that's what it is.
That actually is, it's one of those things, there's creators out there that are just hardline, no, I don't do anything at all with my ass. And then here's you. It's like, well, you didn't say no, you were open to the idea to the point that now I guess that's one of the things you like.
It wasn't expensive.
Yeah. Even better, you found something that you enjoy and you made a lot of money when you did it. So
it was a win. It was a win-win. It was a win-win.
It definitely would be. Look, you mentioned before you've got a friend that you do this with. Do you feel isolated or, lonely in this line of work other than that one singular friend? Because, you can't go down to the cafe down the road and chat to anyone about what you do. You can't say, oh, hard day at home making content today. You'll do it with your actual job. You'll go down and you'll say, oh, man, this is bloody pain in the ass, blah, blah, blah. Do you find it difficult?
Yeah, I think it is really, really isolating. And also a lot of the times when it feels hard, yeah, you can't complain to anybody and nobody that you try and tell really understands unless they're in the industry. Like even the friends that do know that I try to explain this to, be like, oh, the algorithm's just not working. My reach on my Instagram is just way down. And they just look at me like, what? Yeah, I think it's hard. It's isolating. That's why, some of the creator groups that are out there are really great because you have a support network of people that understand and that you can vent to. And I think that, yeah, just being able to vent to somebody is so valuable, not holding all that stress in. But on the whole, it is isolating.
Yeah, absolutely. In saying that, have you sought out, I know there's groups on Reddit and, there is some Facebook groups Have you sought out groups to sort of get this assistance with, or have you, just sort of accepted the fact that it is what it is and you take it like that?
So I'm on like a few Discord and Telegram groups, not for that purpose. It's more just, I guess, general support. But then when you do make connections and friends with people, that sometimes translate into real life. Yeah, I think it's really valuable. I think you shouldn't isolate yourself. Basically, if you are doing this, you should probably try and, I don't know, either
Seeks.
join some groups, seek mutual friends in that world.
Yeah, yeah. Work amongst your peers and
Yeah,
obviously you're going to find out what works for them and then you can try it as well and you get different ideas.
yeah.
And best of all, you get someone to vent to when something
Yeah.
goes wrong or you're having a
Or to
bad day with it.
celebrate, even, to celebrate some milestones.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty important one that I don't really cover in this podcast, and I'm kicking myself a little bit because we don't. But that you're right, because because it's such a big secret, you can't celebrate these really great achievements that you might have personally. Might have an achievement here, and you get that and you reach it. It's like, but who do you tell? Whereas within my day job, I've got obviously, if I make an achievement, I tell everyone.
Yeah.
I tell my dog, like, you can tell everyone. But yeah, that's definitely. So, all right, good advice. Get yourself into some sort of group. So, comes to the final question for tonight. What's the single biggest piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to start an OnlyFans?
Oh, wow. That's a single piece of advice. Mm. That's difficult because I think it's gotten harder, and I think what I'd say like a year ago is probably different to what I'd say now. I think just be prepared to treat it like a business with a plan and something that you need to put hard work into before you see it pay off. It's not. I think long gone are the days where you can actually genuinely run this like a quick, easy, big money making side hobby. It's a proper endeavor that's going to be, yeah, you've got to have a plan. You've got to know, think about your social media strategy, think about your yeah, try and think of it as a business endeavor, basically.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Have a bit of a plan there. There is a lot of trial and error, especially in the early days of it. It could take. I think some of the feedback I'm getting is 6 to 12 months to actually start seeing decent results coming from it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. It's changed so much. It used to be that you could follow this sort of formula of running an Instagram account for 2 months and it would pay off. And I don't think it works like that anymore. So, and you need to run multiple accounts and maybe multiple phones. You need to just be very organized. You can't kind of wing it, I don't think. So that's hence, I guess, why I compared it to a business, because you've got to plan it properly.
Yeah. And you know what? That single piece of advice has been mirrored by everyone else that I've had on so far. So I'm going to put that in a big banner somewhere and say, if you're thinking about doing this, listen to this advice because it's what they're all saying. Look, thank you for coming on. That comes to the end of the show. It's been really, really good to be chatting with you. Really enjoyed it. Really good insight.
Me too.
I'm glad we could do this. And yeah, thank you very much. And till next time.
Thanks.